Hey guys, another video for our nature and environment in Japan playlist. We'd never been down this little road before. It goes through a very busy part of a very small town. So lots of apartment buildings and houses and small streets. And suddenly we came to the end here. There's a little river runs from left to right in front of us. And there's this. So it was really unusual because it's a really seriously built up area. And this is sort of a levee sort of thing. It's sort of a levee beside this river that you can see. There's a little river there that runs down to the ocean. So this is sort of a levee to protect those houses and apartments and things we can see on the left hand side. So not really sure. What's interesting about it is the trees. We often find little levees with little roads running across the top of them, but usually you don't see mature trees like this in Japan unless it's in a shrine, the grounds of a shrine or the grounds of a temple, or sometimes a really old park that's been protected. But just to have mature trees like this in an area like this is really unusual, because in Japan you can see the rest of the countryside around there's no big mature trees at all, and that's quite normal because over the years they've all been used. And as you can see there, the road stops. We're in a very small car and we can't get through. So obviously only bikes and scooters and things can get through there. So some old business there, it's been closed down. So it's a bit of a mystery to see a little street or little lane along the top of a levee like that's not unusual in Japan. See that all the time. But these trees are amazing. So this must have been an important little route to somewhere in the past. Probably before the rail line, probably. And for some reason they've protected it. We wondered if it could be the trees have been left there to protect the levee, but it's not likely because these levees actually have their own protection. Now they've got concrete. They used to have stone walls keeping the water from eroding them. Now they have concrete. So usually they're bare. The levees are usually bare with nothing on them at all. So it was a real mystery. Beautiful, a nice mystery, a pleasant surprise, because all around here is quite intense. It's all apartment buildings and businesses and industry, light industry, and houses and little lanes of lots of cars and really busy. And there's this. So very pleasantly on the left you can see the tables and chairs. So now we're actually heading down towards the ocean. A beautiful little haven, unexpected little haven. We actually had places to be too, but we're really curious about this, so I had to have a look. So we came down here to the main road, and the plan was to get back on the main road and get back to where we wanted to be, but then we saw that this row of trees continued. Sort of half expected to end up at a shrine. That's often the case. A shrine or a castle or something really old. Sometimes they'll have an old track like this with trees either side, and you end up at a castle or a shrine or something else that's been protected over the years. But this just doesn't seem to. It just follows the river and ends up at the ocean. So obviously in the rest of around the place, usually the trees like this have been harvested. I mean, these aren't terribly straight, but that doesn't stop them. You'll see in old structures, and we've showed you examples of this before, they can use really curvy trees in structures in Japan. They're quite skilled at that, particularly in the past. They used to do it all the time. You'll often see support beams that are really, really curvy, and they just sort of work with it. They don't really worry about the curve. They just work with it and adjust the structure accordingly. They sort of appreciate it actually. The gnarly tree trunk or the gnarly tree branch is actually considered to be an art thing, an art form, or a piece of art, often worked into the structure so you can see it because it's so interesting. So here we are, we're at the ocean, down here where they keep the fishing boats. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, there it was. Just a little bit of random nature in the middle of the craziness. More videos coming soon.